Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers, and welcome back to another podcast. In this episode, we are going to be talking about our best running shoes guide 2024. That's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. In this video, we're talking through the categories that we have to choose shoes for to give a bit of an idea of how we decide on those shoes and the discussions that go on. Hope you enjoy it. Evening, gentlemen, on this hot summer's night. How's it going?
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Very sweaty. Very, very sweaty.
Too sweaty. Have you been running in it?
Yesterday,
yes.
I did.
Oh, yes.
Yesterday
Track session today. Very, very disgusting.
Yeah.
Baking.
Well, it won't last, will it?
No, tomorrow it's finished, right?
Is it? Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I better go and sit outside for a bit.
Yeah.
Right. Let's kick off by chatting about training and stuff coming up. We're way out of marathon season now, so I don't actually know what you lot are planning at the moment.
We know what Kieran's been up to.
We know what Kieran's been up
He's
to.
wearing all the gear.
For listeners, Kieran is wearing what can only be described as 1990s children's TV, kids TV presenter clothing.
See, the hat's all right. That is the worst shirt I've ever seen.
It's lively. It's lively. Listen, you have to consider out in South Africa when you're out there, all of the club kits and all of the clothes that everybody's wearing when they're running are mad lively. Like they are full on. It's all like Arsenal from the whatever that black and yellow shirt from the Arsenal team. It's all that kind of gear. So this is actually quite conservative compared to some of the stuff that people were wearing. I quite love it.
It's giving off like African football club team shirt vibes big time.
It's giving off. I don't know if you've seen the sketch. I think you should leave sketch vibes, where the cost of the shirt is directly related to the complicatedness of the pattern on it.
Well, let's start with you then, Kieran, because it would be a bit unfair to not start with you if you're wearing.
I'll do him last now.
I only wore the shirt so I could go first.
So it suggests that you have done Comrades, Kieran.
I have done Comrades. Yeah, got my second Comrades. Did the up run, so now done the down and the up. Consecutive years is how you have to do them. Your first 2 times in order to get a back-to-back medal. So completed that. First down run was 8:48 for the 55 miles. Up run was 8:50, which I think is pretty solid for.
I didn't realise on the up run that the hill is like just the first 30. All the hill is like straight away. It's not like it's up and down. It's just loads of up straight away.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, there's 45. Basically, it starts with almost like a 45 kilometre climb.
Yeah, I looked at the elevation profile. Yeah, it looks. It's just okay. It's a rough start.
And then everyone says once you get to about 45, 46 k's, the rest of it starts to be more runnable. But they leave out the fact that there's, I think, at about 80 kilometres, there's something called Poly Shorts, which is probably the biggest and nastiest climb in the whole of the race. And that's the one that really, really hurts people, particularly if they're chasing a time, because it's basically if you need to run it, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Most people walk it unless they're really struggling for a time. For the elites, it's basically the person who gets to the top of Poly Shorts in the lead always wins the race. So this is where people tend to make their move and break people if they can run it. But if you're like in the middle or to the back of the pack, this is the hill that you fear. It's
not like but compared to like the ones you've done mountain, it's not like loads of elevation in total. It's quite great. That first climb is just digs in the whole way, basically. But it's not like a one very, very steep descent.
No, and this is where I think the race is really interesting and different, because it almost opens up the potential for you to actually run it too hard in that first 45. You know, you can kind of glide it up, and those kilometers went very quickly. But if you make the mistake of thinking, well, this is all right, I can kind of attack this or run a little bit over your pace, you'll pay for it later. It's one where you have to really, really park the ego.
What was harder, up or down? Coming down that hill?
I think coming down that hill was horrendous. You know, you have the one thing I was sort of talking to people about, you have no control over how much you suffer on the down, because it just drags you. You know, you're braking all the time and you can't really control what's happening to your body, and it mashes up your quads. On the ups, you can at least decide how much you want to push and how much you want to hurt. You know, gravity is working slightly differently with you. But I think if I had to run one of them to save my own life, it would be the up.
Nice. Right. Well, with that out of the way, Kieran, is that you done now for Comrades? You're not going to go back and do it again?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I thought I wasn't sure I'd go back to get the back-to-back and do the second, but it's honestly one of the best events that I've ever run. There's such a good spirit about the race that
my mate goes back every year, 2 of them because of this, and they never intended to do more than one.
It's kind of got me hooked. It's an incredible 4 days, and if you've got bucket list races out there, or if you're thinking about doing something, it's just immense. It's absolutely amazing. And the best bit is, like, I think it's something silly, like 60% of the people finish in the last hour. So it's just got this crazy kind of spirit for everybody helping everybody get through.
How far from the finish could you see the T-shirt?
I see a lot of people. I think a lot of people were wearing it whilst they were running. So
oh, okay. Yeah. It wasn't just glinting in the sunlight behind the finish line.
That's the thing, drawing everybody in. Yeah, but go and do it. I honestly recommend it. It's like once in a lifetime. It's a magic race.
So what's the next thing on the list?
And then I'm going back to the Danube for a bit. I'm going to go and do a little, just for fun, 45 miler over 3 days. And then in August, I'm going to go and do the Berlin Wall 100 again. So going to try and get further than 65 miles this time on that.
Nice. 7 miles. You got a thought?
Was it? I always forget.
I don't know. I watched the video, but I thought it was 6-7 miles. That's for 2/3, isn't it?
No smaller races coming up then. I think
no, that's it. I've just got that one big one and try and survive that. And I'd love to beat my 100-mile time, which is 26 hours, but we will see.
Mike, doing something similar, I imagine.
Yeah, all of the big all small races. Only small races only for the rest of the year. That's my plan. No, I mean, I think basically what I've just been going out and enjoying my running, and I've not really had any kind of structure to my training. I think what I've decided, get into July, I have got Saucony London 10K I'm doing in July. And then July is a point where I'm going to put some kind of marks down in terms of what I want to do for the rest of the year, decide whether I want to do or will plan to do an autumn marathon. That's still yet to be decided. Mainly because I've got a lot of things going on.
Real life for Mike and Tom at the moment, it's fair to say.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I've been enjoying I've done some kind of shorter races. I've been back into doing some club races as well. And it's been nice to just enjoy the run without too much structured kind of training. But there has been a lot of shoes to test. So I have been out running a fair bit still. And just enjoying it at the moment. I think, I've given myself start of July, I'll decide what I want to do for the rest of the year, what I can feasibly fit in, and kind of the targets I'll have before the end of the year.
Enjoy the summer.
Yeah.
I will.
Well then, Nick, you're doing the same sort of vibe?
Short stuff for me at the moment. I did the Essex 10K a week back, where I ran pretty well. Managed to get sub 33, not a PB, but in good shape. I was pretty comprehensively beaten by Ben Felton, who had a terrible day, but still beat you by a good 30 seconds. That's kind of the disparity in our abilities these days. I've got a half marathon back to see. I've got short races as well, some club races. Half marathon, I want to go after a sub 70. But obviously a lot will depend on the weather in July. And then after a while, the build for Valencia will start, but I'll probably try and do some more halves in the... I want to do some more 10Ks, try and go for a PB, but there's not really anything around in the summer, so apart from just run through. So I might try and get some of those in the autumn along with the half then, because I feel pretty good. Mileage is back up. Everything's feeling quite good, feeling pretty quick. Had a horrible 20 times 400 meter session today where I ran some of the faster reps I've ever done, so that's good. Everything feels okay, but... It's just. I think it's quite hard to find a lot of races in the summer for good reason. It's very hot sometimes when you race in the summer, and that is a risk. So, but I'd have thought there'd be more 10Ks. You can get for a 10K if it's
Brighton Phoenix 10K.
When's that?
It's a Wednesday evening in July.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that one then. Yeah, that'd be quick.
Let's stay at mine.
Phoenix absolutely stacked with good runners, so that'd be pretty good. Yeah, actually do give me the details for that, depending on how late it is into July.
It's just a risky one. Sometimes it can be, if it's good weather, it's a perfect PB course. If it's windy. Normal, you did the 10K with me last year.
October though, surely it's windier in October. There'll be enough lads quicker than me at that. I thought I could probably tuck in and do no work to help the group. That would be my aim, basically.
I think I did it in the Kinvara Pros last year. They're that year old, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Kinvara Pro, that's a funky choice.
It was windy. I was coming off injury, and I was wearing the Kinvara Pros. It was not my finest hour.
Imagine the scowl on his face every step.
Conditions.
I was not enjoying that.
Still though, big news in Tom's world tomorrow. What's happening tomorrow, Tom?
Yeah, I'm getting some doors in the house.
It's very exciting.
A lot of listeners that are on the edge of their seat finding out. They're not in yet, so I'm worried he's going to turn up and they're going to be the wrong size doors or something.
God, that'd be amazing.
Too small, like saloon doors or something. Which I'll just take. I'll take anything.
Why doesn't your house have doors already?
It's a fair question.
I don't know. either they took them with them, and I don't know why you do that.
They burnt them just outside your house,
or they never had doors. Either way, it's a strange scenario.
Really, really open family. I mean, that's.
Sure,
no one takes doors with you. You might take like lampshades and.
Unless you really annoyed them in the process of buying. What's going to really annoy them? Take the doors. Go on, take the doors.
And they can't be very nice doors.
Take some of the skirting.
So yeah, so get really treating myself some fancy doors tomorrow. So
fire doors?
Yes, of course, fire doors. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. Well, my running pretty lame at the moment.
Yeah, does look it.
Just struggling to make a 50k a week.
Your 10k looked like an exercise and disappointment at the weekend, where you ran a pretty good 5k and then looked like, oh, I hate this.
Well, basically, I did the Eastbourne 10k, and at the moment, my only aim is to see if I've still got the speed. I know I haven't got the fitness, so I just like to see at least 5k. Go, yeah, I've still got the speed. Then I can work on the fitness another time. But yeah, I'm a couple of minutes off my PB at the moment. But training starts in July, so.
Were you doing this? You're doing Valencia as well, aren't you? Yeah, but you won't. Okay, nice.
We
should get some halves lined up. When's big half?
I've got big half. I'm doing big half. I'm doing this 10k Saucony 10k with.
I can't do that. My wife's racing that day.
That's going to be a tough one. I'm not going to be very fit for that. But by the big half, I should be quite fit.
I like the London 10k because it's one of the few races where they put me in the elite section, and it's undeserved, but it does mean I get to hang around people who are visibly confused as to why I'm there. And then I get a little vest with my name on, and then they all run away from me. It's great.
We won't need to worry about
that. Unless you climb the fence. All right, well, let's talk a bit about kit we've been testing.
Well, you boys, big day on the channel today. Superblast 2 launched. Hit us with some thoughts.
Ooh. So Superblast 2 is... Every time I've talked about the original Superblast, I've said it's like one of the best shoes that's ever been made. I love that shoe. I think it's phenomenal. Used it for a lot of runs. They haven't really changed a lot with the Superblast 2. They've updated the midsole foam, one of the midsole foams, so the bigger piece of midsole foam with the new FF Blast Turbo Plus. I keep getting these names wrong because there's quite a lot of them. But it's not massively different. It's a little bit, I think it's probably a little bit bouncier, but that's not the bounciest shoe around anyway. So it's a minor change, I think. And the upper, I don't really see any difference from it. I think there's some people commented on the channel saying they had some fit issues with the first one, and hopefully that's to fix that. But overall, if I picked up the Superblast 1, it's not going to be a massively different run.
Okay, interesting. Because it's the new foam that obviously has been amazing in the Metaspeed Sky Paris and Edge Paris, but it doesn't have the same kind of lift off in terms of changing the feel of the shoes this time.
No, I think you can get a slight feel of maybe it's a little bit poppier, but it's not a massive difference. It's not like when you see a shoe change the foam and suddenly the shoe becomes a completely different, faster shoe. I think it's just a slight upgrade to the previous.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not running in the first one, so this is the first time I'm running it, and having spent a fair amount of time in the Metaspeed Sky Paris, I do think there is some elements there, particularly the front of the shoe, and I think that's what I kind of like from the new Metaspeed Sky Paris, particularly in terms of how it feels, and I think there is some elements, but I think ultimately what it feels for me is that they didn't get a lot wrong with that first shoe. They needed to keep that weight relatively similar, upgrade to the new foams that are in the other shoes around it, and ultimately deliver a similar experience. And I feel like people are probably going to get, I haven't had a bad run in this shoe, and I think every time I've wanted to go out on it, I've looked forward to it, and I think that's the main thing. And it is expensive, but I think if people can get hold of it, I mean, they're going to enjoy it, and I think it's going to be a shoe for everyone. I think.
I thought as the one thing on the outsole on the first one did catch very small stones for me occasionally in little gaps, so maybe that's changed. But it's nice when a very expensive shoe at least feels different to a not very expensive shoe, which isn't always the case. So it's good if there is a few now, like even the Scarlet X, which is not a shoe necessarily that I would use in my rotation. It does feel quite different to lots of other things.
All right, Nick, what have you been testing?
Well, we've had some fast shoes in this week. We've got the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3 and the Metaspeed Edge Paris, finally, which I've used today for a really hard track session. I've used it for a hard road session at the weekend. I like the Edge Paris, but I don't think it feels that different to the Sky Paris. I don't think it feels slightly slappier to me, maybe, but it still feels brilliant. But yeah, I think someone made a point to me on one of the things. It feels a lot like other super shoes. The Sky Paris genuinely feels like, to me, the best super shoe. So yeah, I've enjoyed testing it so far. I'll do some more stuff in that. But the Puma, we're all enjoying, right? It's lighter, bouncier. Yeah, the Elite is really, that foam they have is really good. I think the new aliphatic TPU, that is an example of a foam that's changed things quite a lot. I think it's one of those ones that's a little bit firmer to deliver a bit more energy return, but not in an unpleasant way. It's just really nice.
Well, I said in my Eastbourne 10K video that even though it didn't get me a PB, that was not the fault of the shoe, that was the fault of my body.
Yeah.
But I did say that I think the previous two versions, I thought they were good shoes. I just very rarely pick them up. If I was ever going for any sort of race and thinking, right, I'm going to go for a PB now, would not be on my list of shoes. Whereas this one now, I think it probably is getting there now. I'd be more than happy to use that, probably up to marathon distance now.
Yeah, I want to get a race in, but for me, it does feel like a shoe that could be right up there in like competing. And the DVA Nitro Elite 2 had a great moment for me when I was in Poland in February, and I used it for a park run on like icy pavements. I was going, there's not many super shoes I could use for this, and I used it. Then I took it in an icy forest the next day, and it's like, that's I guess its main use case scenario is the fact that it had an amazing grip. But this new one still has Puma grip, but you've got a much more impressive foam. I've got a mixed terrain race next week. I might use it there because again, kind of perfect for it. But in fact, it's lighter. I did find it slightly longer on me, so I'm hoping I can get a half size down, just because when you got a race shoe, it's always nice to have it, I think, a bit tighter fit and have the plate really underneath you. But although, as I said in my review, like the fact that it's a bit long means the plate sticks out a bit in front of my foot, much like the Puma Fast R2. So it could actually be the design they're going for anyway.
Anything else, Kieran? Have you tested anything interesting recently?
Well, I've missed out on a few of those shoes. I've not managed to get them in.
Gallivanting around the world doing races.
Yeah, I've been. Yeah, I guess for me, I've basically gone back into some big old sort of cushion dailies. I've been looking at the Adidas Supernova Prima, which I know Mike's done a first run on the channel. That one, relatively impressed with. I've quite enjoyed it. Not particularly groundbreaking, but I think as Adidas tries to plug that gap of having a good cushion daily trainer in its lineup to support its sort of best sort of fast race shoes, I think it actually does a really nice job. It's one of those shoes that I think you can just clip along kind of nice and happy, easy in it. It's got a good balance of cushioning. It's not too heavy. It's not too soft and sinky. There's quite a good kind of sort of immediacy to it. And another one of those I sort of whack into that sort of group of shoes that if I don't really have an intent for that particular run, I'm just going to go out and plod around low heart rate. This shoe, I think, does a really nice job. Kind of much prefer it to the Supernova Rise, which is an odd one for me because normally I'd go for the firmer shoes, but I think this one on balance just has a little bit more to it. So yeah, I've enjoyed that one, and I'm going back. I've been digging back in the archives from what you guys have already been testing. I've put on the Gel Carno 31, which we've already reviewed, but that's a new one for me. A shoe that I never really expected to be particularly excited about, but I actually have enjoyed my runs in that one as well, which is it feels lighter and a bit softer than the last gen, but I've been doing a few more tests in that. But that's my not so exciting testing that I've been doing in terms of shoes. I've done a lot of headphones and a lot of other bits and pieces, but shoes-wise, it's been a bit quiet because I've been off.
Well, one other shoe which we should mention is the Mizuno Neo Vista.
Lovely shoe.
Incredible shoe. On the video we did the review, I mentioned that I was a bit worried about this shoe because it was one of those shoes that gets seeded out to the influencers of the world, and everyone says it's amazing, but it's generally getting used for people taking photos and sort of walking about. So I was a bit worried, but got hold of it. Absolutely love that shoe. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it's like for someone like me who likes a bouncy, fun shoe with a bit of versatility, it's really, really, really good. And Nick, I think you like it as much as me, Nick.
I liked it. Well, I loved it, and we talked. I think it's a really good shoe, really versatile. Like a super trainer that leans to the mellow, easy side of things, but can do a bit of everything. Like really good daily for sure. I was just surprised when I asked you, Tom, like because I haven't tested Super Blast 2 yet, and you still say Super Blast definitely ahead of it. So that makes me excited for the Super Blast for sure because we gushed over the Mizuno for a solid 12, 13 minutes.
I think it's they're different shoes. Somebody who really likes the Mizuno Neo Vista for something is probably liking it for different reasons than somebody would like the Super Blast 2. So I would like both of those shoes for different runs. I definitely use the Neo Vista for more of the easier, fun stuff where I'm just doing my usual miles and just want to go enjoy it. Yeah. Super Blast, I want something that I can do marathon training in basically and harder sections and things like that. I think you could use both for variety of runs, but they are very, very different. So overall, I'd probably say Super Blast is the one that I would go for if I had to have the choice.
Okay, but I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to maybe test Superlast, but see what else Mizuno do now. They're tapping into quite a nice little vein with their shoes of late. It'd be good to see what goes on.
Okay, so shall we talk about some best shoes then?
Well, yeah, carry on with it.
Okay, so we are about to do our best running shoes video, which is by far our most popular video on the channel, where we talk about all the different road shoe categories and we pick our top 3 picks and some additional options that you can look for from all of these different categories. So what we're going to do in this video or podcast is talk through all of the options that we've got, talk through the categories, and give a bit of an overview of why we've chosen the ones that we're looking at and for what reasons we put things in these categories, basically. Is that clear?
Yeah. First question to answer is why we're doing it in July. People always ask that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a year since we did the last one, so that's one big reason.
The reason we do this in July is because because we do the awards at the end of the year, which is all of the shoes that come out over the course of the year. But the main reason we do it is because there's so many shoes that come out over the course of the year. By the time we get halfway through the year, we've already tested an awful lot of shoes. And if we leave it until the end of the year to do it and do the best shoes of the year, nobody watches that video because they're all trying to watch best shoes of 2025 by the time that comes around, and it no longer means anything.
It's also not just the best shoes of this year, it's the best shoes in these categories. So a lot of the picks will be older shoes.
Yeah, and the awards is just for the ones in the year.
Exactly. Also, you want to buy a shoe in 2024?
Yeah.
Good to know about it in July, I think.
Yeah, basically you get two videos. One is the best shoes video, which comes out now, and then you get the awards that comes out at the end of the year. So you get 2 videos covering the best shoes that are coming out. That fair?
It's very fair, Tom.
Excellent. Okay, so let's start by looking at the first category. So how this works is we all vote, give our top 3 shoes in a category, and then I work out based on a point system which one is first, second.
Very shady point system.
It is shady and it's quite biased.
It's an algorithm. There's an algorithm that no one understands.
A lot of votes get nullified in the old algorithm. A lot of lost votes.
Well, the first one that we do is the big one, and that is best race shoe, which is probably the most obvious category to talk through. But somebody want to pick up what is the best race shoe and how we pick it?
It's got to be a carbon shoe. Good year for it this year because we've all done marathons, we've all raced lots, and we just pick the shoe we like racing in the most, which is now always a carbon plate shoe. I think it always has actually since the start of our channel. It's always been carbon, hasn't it? Don't think we ever. Yeah. So this will be from any year.
And is it fair to say we kind of thinking it does cover other races, but a lot of these would be marathon worthy?
Well, I think especially this year, when probably the big target for most of us first started was a marathon, and then even like your big target second half of the year, Kieran, you're probably not as fussed about the shoe so much as the experience, I guess. Whereas, when you go chasing a time in the marathon, we are quite marathon focused, it's fair to say. Yeah. But nearly all these shoes work for short distances as well.
Yeah, and it's quite general as well, because we do have other videos throughout the year where we talk about specific distances and things like that. So this is more personal preference towards if you could only pick one race shoe for your running career, which would you go for?
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say. All right, so I am going to go through some of the options we've got, and we're going to talk through them. Okay, so one that's cropped up a lot is the Asics Meta Speed Sky Paris, and I think it's safe to say we've all tested that now. I think
2 marathon PBs in that shoe. Yeah, I think So I think 2 of us set PBs in it, so it get quite clear vote, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it's probably safe to say that shoe has probably been the most surprising in a good way shoe this year. It's really, every time any of us have used it, we've gone, wow, Asics has really done a good job with this shoe. They've really developed what they had previously and really improved it.
Yeah, sensational shoe. And we just started testing the Edge, which at the moment we feel I think me and Mike are testing it, we're probably leaning still towards the Sky, even though I think we're both Edge runners according to Asics, but the Sky feels a little bit special still.
And they're almost merging into the same shoe, so I think it probably says a lot about where things might go. But I think my experience has been so far that the Sky feels like the standout shoe and feels like it offers something slightly different from the Edge Paris so far.
I also like about the Sky in general is that it's exceptionally light, and I think that will hopefully prompt other people to start pushing their carbon shoes in that direction, because I really like a light racing shoe, even if it is going to be big and bouncy. You can make it really light, as Asics has shown, and Puma's done now as well, and even Nike's racing shoes are getting lighter while they make the rest of their shoes heavier. So, I like that trend.
Okay. Another shoe that's cropped up quite a lot in this list is the Alpha Fly 3. And I to be honest, I've talked about this a lot. I much prefer the Alpha Fly 1. I actually found it tricky to choose shoes for this one because there's not many I've tested the past year that I really, really liked. But the Alpha Fly 3 did crop up quite a bit. What are our thoughts on the Alpha Fly 3 so far?
I'm still yet to run in it, so I have
Over to Nick.
Yeah, I think it's pretty great. I think it's I was very surprised when I tested that shoe. I didn't think there'd be anything I'd like more than that this year. But then obviously the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris has come along. The Alpha Fly is fantastic. I think it's bouncy, springy. AirPods give it that extra punch, smoother ride than past Alpha Flies. Yeah, you trade some of the bounciness of the Alpha Fly 1, but you get, I think, a faster turnover for someone like myself who is a high cadence runner. I think it's a brilliant shoe. Would be very happy if that would be my race shoe all year long after testing it. I've done a lot of miles in it now, some really hard sessions. I've raced in it, but I think it's a spectacular shoe. I think it's the best shoe Nike has made, but Alpha Fly 1 is still pretty special as well.
Okay. And I think you and me, I know, Mike, you've tested the Vaporfly as well.
I have, yeah.
So the Vaporfly's cropped up obviously quite a bit.
Vaporfly's still sticking around list, isn't it?
Yeah. So Vaporfly, why is that on the list? Go on, Mike.
I mean, I think, and I guess got other guys who test it. I think it's a shoe. Whenever I put it on and I've wanted to run quick in or race in, it's felt amazing to do so. It gives you all that you would want from a racing shoe. It's very, the upper in terms of the weight. I think in terms of that kind of propulsive feel you want over over the shorter and even a little bit longer distances in it as well too. I've just always, if there's a shoe I've looked to for running or racing a little bit quicker, I've never been disappointed putting this shoe on, and I think that's why it's still around and kind of in this discussion about kind of racing shoes.
Still the shoe I see the most at races around me as well, like so the Vaporfly 2, or if they've gone through those, Vaporfly 3. I think it's still got that's still got that hold and reputation with runners, and it's not disappointing them at all.
And they made it slightly more cushioned as well, which I think makes it a bit more accessible for probably a wider group of runners. But for me, I'm at the sort of the opposite end. I kind of think they softened it too much, and I think they took the fast edge off it, which is what I really like actually about the Sky Paris. It just feels a bit like the old Vaporfly 2 used to feel. The Vapor just lost a bit of its edge for me, but I know why people like it. I think it gives you a little bit more protection later into races if things aren't going particularly well. So I'm not surprised that lots and lots of people now lace it up across the kind of different pace ranges.
All right. Okay, so no surprises there.
We should, with big throw a bone to the Hoka Cielo X1, which I think has been one of the most surprising and enjoyable shoes.
That has been mentioned.
The shoe I've done the most miles in this year, probably, I think, just because I used it for so many training sessions because it's such a fun, fast, bouncy shoe.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my bigger kind of London Marathon training runs was in that shoe, and it was just enjoyable to go out on it. I mean, I don't love everything about it, and I think, Nick, you've had some interesting experience with the lacing, I think, which is quite clear. There's maybe something needs to be rectified for a next version, but I think in terms of what you're getting, in terms of that ride, in terms of experience, in terms of being out and just kind of getting through that mileage in that shoe, it just feels like a really nice shoe to get. And I've never felt like my legs have been wrecked after running in that shoe. And I think Hoka's had a good year. I think they've had some very strong shoes, and the Cielo X1 is definitely one of their kind of standout shoes from this year.
And do we think that the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3 is going to appear?
I mean, I think if we get a couple of races in, I think I want to, you still want to see those results, don't you? That's the problem with racing shoes. You need to race in them to really learn to love them or what you think about them. But there's nothing I haven't liked about it yet.
Yeah, I did a 5K race in it, and what I really wanted to see how it's going to handle over longer distances. But I think I just got a good sense of what it's going to offer, and it just feels like a massive step up for me from the previous shoe in terms of being a more racing kind of centric shoe for me, and I think Puma's got a lot right here with this shoe.
Let's move on to daily shoes. Now, it's tricky. We have a daily shoe category and an all-rounder category. Nick, what is the difference that we give for daily shoes and all-rounder shoes?
Well, the problem is that for me there isn't much of a difference, I guess is the problem. But I like to use all-rounder shoes as daily shoes. But I think all-rounder shoes are talking more like things, on the super trainer, but shoes that you can use for everything, so including fast running. And then I think for daily shoes, people would probably more think of a slightly more cushioned feel, as in your daily runs are often very easy. But it is a bit of a it's a tough distinction, but I guess they're probably slightly more cushioned than all-rounders. All-rounders probably have a bit more of an edge to them if you are going to use them for fast runs. You can kind of use an all-rounder as a daily. You can't necessarily use all dailies as all-rounders.
Nicely explained.
All right, well...
Clear as mud. I picked the same shoe in both categories, so I don't know why you asked me.
This is good. This is a good explanation of it. We talked in the podcast about the Mizuno Neo Vista and the Super Blast 2. I put the Neo Vista in daily and Super Blast 2 in all-rounder.
I put Neo Vista in all-rounder.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an anomaly. You're confusing this process.
I don't think it's my fault. I think it's a confusing section of categories.
Although I guess this is the whole point, is that people might use shoes for different things anyway. So it's kind of what constitutes an all-rounder for Nick might not be the same for Tom. So it's all good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just the problem is then we pick 3 and then people get confused. But it's fine. We do our individual picks. But I think there's a lot of crossover, basically, put it that way. But I think what we don't have in our daily trainers, because none of us really do this, is we don't put in something, what we call a cushion shoe, which is another category. So if a shoe we think is completely easy day focused, very cushioned and all that, lots of people, that is a daily trainer. But on our channel, it kind of isn't, because we like a shoe that has a little bit more versatility than those very classic cushion shoes, like the Asics Gel Nimbus, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so some of the shoes that we've got in this category are...
The Asics Gel Nimbus.
The Saucony Endorphin Speed 4 has cropped up.
Yeah, so that's an all-rounder, isn't it? Let's be honest. We should probably take it out of this category.
I think that is an all-rounder, yeah. This is good. We're actually just having basically a meeting.
I think we have given it 2 awards in the past, but maybe we should change it up then.
All right, then. So what about the New Balance Rebel V4?
Yeah, it's a really good shoe.
Yeah, I think that I would class that as a daily shoe. I think
a lot of people disagree because they wouldn't say it's cushioned enough, but I agree it's a daily shoe.
I do think it's quite cushioned, though.
Personally, for me, I think on the easier stuff, I don't think it sits that well, the easier stuff, compared to some of the other shoes we're talking about here. But I think in terms of if you want a more up-tempo, faster, focused daily trainer, I think absolutely. But me personally, I found it really wants you to run a little bit more up-tempo in that shoe. That's kind of just been my experience of it. So, definitely.
We should just put the list out. When we try and explain it, we can ourselves.
Yeah, we'll put some of these shoes in the comments, and then any of the viewers or listeners can comment and say what they think.
Yeah,
viciously debate about it.
Because I disagree. I put the Speed 4 because I use the Speed 4 for a lot of my easy miles as well. So,
great easy run shoe. Really good daily trainer.
I find it cushioned enough.
Get rid of the category. Get rid of the
Up until about 3 minutes ago, the Speed 4 was going to win this because me and Kieran both put it number 1.
Yeah. How would you put these in a rotation then? So race shoes quite obvious in a rotation. Cushion shoes quite obvious in a rotation. What are the daily and all-rounder shoes in a rotation?
Well, I think what we should do is we should call the daily the shoe that you would have in a rotation, maybe, and then the all-rounder would be for someone who doesn't buy a rotation.
I think
that's it. That's quite good. Yeah.
The way the all-rounder for me is like if you could only have, in a way, if you had like one shoe, this thing can do. I could rate if I had to. I'd race a marathon in the Speed 4. It's like it can do a good range, and if you're only going to buy one shoe, the all-rounder sort of ticks most of those boxes. Not all of them perfectly, but
the problem remains that when we did our rotations video, we both picked the Speed 4 as our daily trainer. Yeah. But so I guess we could try and separate it like that. Yeah, I think it's if you don't have a rotation. So, for example, in dailies, I could put 2 shoes from my rotation in because the Puma Velocity Nitro 3 would be a very good daily trainer. I would use it daily. The Speed 4 I'd also use kind of daily, but I think they're both examples of different kinds of daily trainers. But we could maybe say if one's very all-roundery, let's save it for all-rounders.
Okay. So any other options we've got in this category are Hoka Max 6.
Beautiful daily trainer, that.
Beautiful daily trainer. Hoka Max X.
Another solid daily trainer, I guess. Yeah.
And I guess it's a little pep. For me, it's a little bit peppier than the Max 6. So you probably need to like a kind of slightly more responsive ride that's a bit more direct for that kind of daily run than people who want, with the caveats of people wanting more cushioning that Nick was talking about in this area. But again, I'd quite often do regular miles in the Mac X.
Okay. So let's do best all-rounders next, because that's the hot topic. So in the best all-rounders, we're seeing Super Blast 2 cropping up.
Yeah.
The Speed 4 again. The Rebel V4 again.
So I think we take the Rebel V4 out of that, maybe. Maybe it's not an all-rounder for lots of people.
Yeah.
More daily. It's more a shoe that you would pair with maybe a carbon shoe to go nuts in, and then a more cushion shoe for long miles. So there we go. We've cleared up a little bit. Neo Vista, I think, probably is more daily than all-rounder. I agree with you, Tom.
Good.
But it is a very good all-rounder, though. I do think it's one of the 3 best all-rounders I've tested this year, but if we're going to try and clear it up a bit, we can do that. I don't mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Then the other problem we have, obviously, with the videos is these that sometimes, it's not that common, only one person has tested the shoe. So the Boston 12 is a shoe that would feature very heavily in all-rounders, but only I've tested it.
I need to add that into my algorithm, don't I?
Yeah, but it always gets displaced by the algorithm to it. It always gets like an also mention because Nick likes it, but none of us have tested it.
It's a tricky one because if I worked out the algorithm, and when I say the algorithm, I mean me sat there working through a spreadsheet.
The algorithm, I just compute 4 people's votes.
If I modified it so it uplifted things because people only had one of them, then if somebody has completely rubbish choice, it would be massively uplifted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It can't be acceptable. So
okay.
So that's why that does explain why people probably wonder why the Boston doesn't fit, because it is a very popular shoe as well. But I think that's why. That's the reason. Like, I think you guys would probably like it, but we can't base anything on that.
All right, basically, what we're saying is, Adidas, can you send us all a Boston to?
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll agree.
Blood from a stone, isn't it? We haven't tested the Adizero SL2 either, which is supposed to be very good, but there's a big pile of shoes here to get through. I'm not killing myself trying to get other ones.
All right, let's do an easy one then. Best cushion shoe. There's not going to be loads of debate on
Dolphin
that one.
Speed 4 next.
So this category has got not many surprises in it. So you've got New Balance 1080 V13, which is definitely a cushion shoe.
Definitely. Not one I love, but is beloved, I think.
Brooks Glycerin 21.
Great shoe.
Definitely a cushion shoe. On Cloud Size First Surfer 7, which feels like a cushion shoe. It's not like a max cushion shoe, but
I think it's a daily for me. I'm going to say that.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm going to say it.
Okay, I think I'm on the fence with that one. I think you could go either way on that one. Brooks goes 16. You'd probably put that as a daily, wouldn't you?
I think it's a cushion daily, yeah.
Cushion daily. Okay.
Oh no, don't cross the cushion daily.
Puma Magnify Nitro 2. That's definitely a cushion shoe.
That's a cushion shoe. I think both Pumas could go in here quite easily.
Ride 17 you probably would have used to have been daily, but it's probably moving more towards the world of cushion shoes.
I mean, that's the epitome of a cushion daily.
Okay, good. So we're not really getting anywhere with these.
We could do a massive Venn diagram, couldn't we? Would that be a good video? Just us drawing a huge Venn diagram?
What is it? Of you drawing it?
We'd all be there, Tom. We'd all be there. We'd draw the circles and we just keep writing more shoes into different things. I think it could work.
I think it'd be more interesting for us to properly define these categories so we know what they are.
Men with Venn.
So that is the job of the listeners to decide our categories for us.
Listeners, if you people any more contrary than all the people, any more people contrary than us, as everyone's going to comment. It's going to be a wild disparity of views coming in.
Honestly, the only ones we need to know are what is a daily shoe, what is an all-rounder. Cushion shoe, I think, is fine. I think you can allow for a certain level of actually that might slip into daily, but it is quite a cushion shoe. So I think
a lot of the cushion shoes we like are because they have a bit more about them for daily training, actually.
Yeah, cushion shoes are there for like slower, easy, comfortable miles. You're not necessarily going to go faster in them. Sole purpose is comfort and cushioning.
So what about the Puma Velocity Nitro 3?
Tricky one, that cushion daily, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's my cushion shoe in my rotation. There's the problem with we haven't got enough people.
Yeah, well, it's actually a value shoe. So
yeah, we always get away with the Velocity Nitro. Velocity Nitro can easily be in all of these categories, but it gets shoved into value because it's cheap. Even though I think it's better than any of the shoes anyway.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. A lot of the shoes can cross over, but they can't all win because just because a shoe can cross over the categories doesn't mean it's the best in a category.
Yeah. You know what would really express this? A huge Venn diagram that we're all standing around just writing shoes into.
Can you just do that on your own?
I can, but I feel we wouldn't publish it.
I think we basically need to hire a massive crane with a top-down camera, giant Venn diagram circles, and Nick with a big pile of shoes, just putting them in different.
If we could art attack it, Kieran.
Drone.
That's what I'm thinking.
Tom's got a drone.
Oh yeah,
let's do it.
Can do that.
Easy. It's a video.
Right, let's move this along. Best value shoes. The final category we got is best value shoes. That one is very easy. It's just a shoe that's really good value. It can be any type of shoe. It's probably a mixture of being relatively cost effective but also being durable.
Versatile. You know what a really good versatile shoe would be in my mind, an all-rounder.
Yeah, but all-rounders aren't necessarily cheap, are they? The best all-rounder is probably not going to be the cheaper one.
It's the Puma Velocity Nitro 3. I mean, it's the easiest category there is.
All right, so
we haven't really got the other shoes to stick in it, have we?
Listeners, if you've managed to get all the way through this video podcast and you have views on what makes up these categories, please comment.
Help us. Please help us.
If you have access to several large rings and a drone and Neil Buchanan, ideally, we'll get this done.
Yeah, let us know what you think to these categories. We were originally going to say, what would you think goes in this? What would you pick of these categories? But considering we need to define the categories, that's probably the most useful thing to get your help on.
Actually, you know, when we just did the list and we had all the picks, and I said maybe we should discuss this. We should never have discussed it. We should have just gone with the picks. Actually, the picks were fine.
Yeah.
Good to know for next year.
All right. Well, we've got to sort it out the next week or so. So I've got to edit the video.
We have to put the link into this for all the people who have complaints, rightly.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of confused about which bit of this is the meeting and which bit is the video that's going to go out.
Yeah. It's a real time saver if we just do the meeting, the podcast.
This is all going out. This is like a behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
This is how the sausage is made. Yeah. And you can see it. You see why it comes out like it does.
Yes. All right. Well, glad we cleared all that up. So in the next few weeks, we will be releasing our full guide to the best running shoes.
You know what the first comment's going to be? Why isn't the Cycling Endorphin Speed the best daily trainer? Yeah, second comment, really like Tom's new doors.
Yeah.
Third comment, Nick always talks about Puma Velocity Nitro 3.
That is true. Fourth comment would be Kieran's t-shirt.
What's wrong with this?
All right, I think that'll do us for now.
Yeah, all gold.
We've got some work to do. Right, I'll see you guys later.
Oh my god, I'm sweating so bad.
All right.
Yeah. Bye.
This episode was presented by Tom Wheatley, Nick Harris-Fry, Kieran Alger and Mike Saw. The podcast was produced by Tom Wheatley. The music was by Fear of Tigers.